1949. And above all, there is that alleged period of 10 years, which, according to Sylvester
Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone,
Did our critique Sylvester Stallone?
was dominated by the somber, the dark, and the tonal before Bacon returned to the clear and precise. Also before there was thickness and densities. But destiny can sometimes pass through. Destiny? I thought it said density.
Destiny.
Destiny.
Oh, destiny. But destiny can sometimes pass through detours that seem to contradict it. For Bacon's landscapes are a preparation for what will later appear as a set of short, involuntary free marks, lining the canvas as signifying traits that are devoid of any illustrative or narrative function. Hence the importance of grass and the irremediably grassy character of these landscapes. I mean, like, involuntary free marks and as signifying traits, like, can we just put that somewhere special? I mean, like, something to return to?
Yeah, I think he doesn't. I think maybe he says something a little bit how it works, like in the end of the page, but he doesn't really say much more now in this at least in the next 3 sections. I think he's preparing the field to talk more. I mean, he's just saying that they are there to do that of helping the break of representation, but he doesn't say exactly. He doesn't go into detail of how exactly.
I mean,
they do that.
Now, I mean, in a rapid memory of these, like, I really love how almost all the time when the involuntary or the signifying traits come in the pages with the list and also with Gatteri after, how they come kind of like just hanging in there, like there's not a lot of like, now I'm gonna tell you these, and then like it's almost as if the work was done a little bit before, when he's telling us about the technique of isolation, and then the landscape, and then the density, and then the destiny, and then the somber, the dark, and the clear and precise, like all of those contrasts
are really pushing for
all of those things are already building something that is not necessarily a narrative for understanding signifying traits or involuntary free marks. So for me, when they come to the page, it's so beautiful because they always are pushed forth, like something in my body jumps and goes like yes, or like, and so that's why I say, like, can we put them somewhere special? But it's this kind of thing, like something you found on the street and for some reason you picked up, but you have no idea, and then you just put it there. But there's no behind, almost as in how he's saying in this Bacon's paintings, like there's not a relation. I mean, or how there's another relation other than this is the reason why.
Yeah, it's not that. I mean, Guattari talks a lot about the signifying sign indexes or signs in schizoanalysis, and they're really these signs that are not verbal, but they're really that they're pushing intensity to a limit in a way. The way that I was reading them now, I mean, sometimes he really talks about like signs produced by non-human parts, and sometimes he says it's just technology, for instance, or like ethology, like the animals. but they are also like in the cosmos. He also put them in connection with the theory of art of Mikhail Bakhtin. So the asinifying signs are this force of the aesthetic that surpasses the intention of the author, the consumer, the materiality. So it's like, I think it's what Erin calls the artfulness of experience in a way. Not that the signs are the artfulness, but they are like more carried by that in a way. And in schizoanalysis is always this, the signifying signs are these kind of the tours of experience that change the field of the kind of the of the entity in a way, and that create this change that creates this alter therapeutic in a way. And it can happen, in the most everyday banal. So it's so they are not you cannot really activate the signifying signs in this traditional transfer with a psychoanalyst, or like you never know like how they happen. Yeah.
Should you try to take a look at those panties?
The paintings.
Or
Yeah.
we don't need to do that.
We can.
I mean, I'm getting a good sense, but we
yeah.
can look
This one I
at
had it. I
them.
think this study of figure of landscape. I have it on my computer maybe.
Let's watch it.
This one.
Oh,
So you can describe it for the radio maybe.
Oh, there's a video radio.
oh, it's a video radio, so then they can
Oh.
see it,
So can you?
or whoever
Or they can
it can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The video can see it. Okay, so are we live now? Are we there yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are we there yet? Did we arrive? We arrived!
Yeah, Natalie.
So what's the name of this town?
It's radioLip.
radioLip.
Welcome to radioLip,
Welcome to radioLip.
the only radio specialized in process philosophy
And live study.
and live experimental music
And
from the fringes of the Montreal scene.
and croissants and
Pizza from the day
Pizzas.
before.
yesterday
And
pizza,
mango.
pretending that it's just fresh pizza.
And mango.
And mango. Lots of mango. And of course coffee.
And coffee, sugary coffee,
And good outfits.
and good outfits. Casi traigo uno que decía tacos.
And like a lot of stupidity because we don't know how to do this.
Yes, we are beginners.
Beginners. Newbies.
Newbies.
Okay. So shift, no?
Yeah,
So we saw the picture now.
yeah,
I didn't learn a lot from seeing it, but it's okay.
no. I mean, when it comes now, who wants to keep reading? As for the textures,
you.
me?
Yeah.
Okay, I want, yes. As for the textures, the thick, the dark, and the blurry, they're already preparing for the great technique of local scrubbing,
Local scrubbing.
nettoyage local, with a rag, hand broom, or brush in which the thickness is spread out over a non-figurative zone. Clearly, these two techniques of local scrubbing and asignifying traits belong to an original system which is neither that of the landscape nor that of the formless or ground, although by virtue of their autonomy they are apt to make a landscape or to make a ground or even to make darkness. That's nice, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about like
Mm.
the technique of brushing
Mm-hmm.
and how like sometimes I like to use it in movement
Mm-hmm.
thingies,
Mm-hmm.
and how I've been trying to think how the brushing kind of undoes the body from its having to be
Mm-hmm.
a personalized body. So then in the brushing, it just becomes this thickness of watery, blobby
blob.
And so it kind of loses its narrative
Mm-hmm.
as the body that it is. So maybe that as well, like brushing, scrubbing. What else?
And the acinifying traits,
Yeah, brushing, scrubbing. So I think we have there something.
which we still don't know much about the acinifying traits.
And I'm wondering how brushing, scrubbing deals with the story that you told us of the 40 minutes gap
Yeah.
when
When
Bearley's dad that he only lived with for 11 years
for
and resuscitations. There's something there. I think we're onto something.
In fact, the rest of the painting is systematically occupied by large fields, plats, of bright, uniform and motionless color. Thin and hard, these fields have a structuring and specializing function. They are not beneath, behind or beyond the figure, but are strictly to the side of it, or rather all around it, and are thus grasped in a close view, a tactile or haptic view, just as the figure itself is. At this stage, when one moves from the figure to the field of color, there is no relation of depth or distance, no incertitude of light and shadow. Even the shadows and the blacks are not dark. Quote, I try to make the shadows as present as the figure, end quote. If the fields function as a background, they do so by virtue of their strict correlation with the figures. It is the correlation of two sectors on a single plane, equally close. This correlation, this connection, is itself provided by the place, by the ring or round area, which is the common limit of the two. They are contoured. So that's something that I found, that I have been thinking and talking a little bit with Erin also about the idea of the concept of the surface in the early, the less, and I think this is what is coming out here, which is this membrane on contour. So like he was talking about how the figure starts to appear. I mean, what do you need for the figure to be isolated so that there is a figure not of representation? And now he's giving us the applats, or the fields in a way, but the fields are, you cannot think the figure and the field separate in a way. So that from this correlation the contours start to appear, like the membrane in a way, between figure and landscape. So there is something of bringing into life this membrane of surface. Well, he doesn't contour. He doesn't call it surface. Yeah, that I found very interesting in a way. Also as a way to think the limit, you know, like we talk a lot about the limit between the whatever, the actual, the virtual, etc. But really to think the limit as a contour or as a, you know, as a surface in a way. So it's not like the last step in a way, but it's really like a membrane in a way, like a threshold.
So we have surface, membrane,
Contour, figure, and
that it actively
place fields.
pushes through.
So it says it is the correlate. I mean,
There's something about there's something about stretching, like the field. The field is not just like there, like it stretches. Like there's a stretching of the field, or a stretchiness of the field, that it's opened.
it says the fields have they they're not beneath, behind, or beyond the figure, but they are strictly to the side of it, or rather all around it, and are thus grasping a close view, a tactile, haptic view, just as the figure itself.
You have something?
There is no relation of depth or distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's something that because Diego did something with his hands, like something like a background and foreground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is functioning here?
Mm-hmm.
Because when he says, it's more like
That's the
things-
stretching. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something like
It's
this.
flat. Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. It is flat. It's not
Yeah,
something
yeah.
that
Mm-hmm.
there's no like and there's no background and
Yeah.
something that comes from the background to the.
Yeah. I mean, today that I arrived late because I had to do this painting. So almost the last thing that I was doing was the background.
Mm-hmm.
And Thea was asking me like, but this is not a background if it's the last thing, like, but there was something about like, I know it's like for me how the background almost comes at the end, like I can only know the back by what has popped out,
Mm-hmm.
and then what pops out leaves room, and then it reveals the background, but almost as if the background was already there. But then at the same time when you're doing it, it's like when you're doing it you know that it's also in the front, like it's not necessarily in a different layer, like there's a moment, I mean it flickers, it goes back, but then it comes back and then it just I don't know, something of that movement that it's not necessarily behind.
I mean, like in another chapter, going further, he starts to talk about the mirror, for instance, and he says that the mirror for Bacon is not the mirror like Lewis Carroll. And for Lewis Carroll, the mirror is really flat. In that, you know what I mean? It's really like you go from one side to the other. But what he's saying is like the mirror for him is this stretching, this like from where the body passes, and like it's like a stretch. So
It's like this.
so there is. It's true that it is kind of flat, and it is kind of like this. But my impression is like there is a lot of things going on to create this.
That
you know,
flattening.
like the figure, and the landscape has to have like a strict correlation in a way. Somehow, like there is this. So there is a lot of work to create the stretching in a way, like the
And it's not like one sustains the other or the other way
they're
around.
quite,
but-
it seems that they're very monadic also, like everyone is doing a specific function in a way, and then the relation is like what is created, and to create this stretchiness or like elastic.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it like these, like, you know, when you go like.
It's true.
Okay.
Okay, continue. This is what Bacon says in a very important statement to which we will be frequently recur. He distinguishes three fundamental elements in his painting, which are the material structure, the round contour, and the raised image. If we think in sculptural terms, we would have to say the armature, the pedestal, which
The
would
raised
be mobile,
image is what I was saying, that what pops.
pop up,
Mhm.
and the figure which would move along the armature together with the pedestal. If we had to illustrate them, and to a certain degree this is necessary, as in the Man with Dog of 1953, which I have the picture here. We would say a sidewalk, some pools, and the people who emerge from the pools on the way to their daily round. I have that. You want to see the painting before?
Man with dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. A
Then-
sidewalk, some pools, and the people who emerge from the pools on the way to their daily round.
Oh, Man with Dog, here it is. It's very small, yeah.
I will see if I can.
Wait. Uh-huh. Yeah.
You want to push it? radioLip. Amazing.
So how we're doing with time?
Good, it's 12:30.
So we have like 20 more minutes?
20 more minutes
Okay.
of radio. Yeah. So we can finish the chapter.
We can finish the chapter and we can maybe do some jumps.
Maybe do some jumps.
Do you
But then-
think the raised image is something that pops? Looking for this image?
I mean, it is very tricky because, like, in my perception, to look at an image takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would say I still don't see
Don't
it. So what I see, it's things jumping, or like blocks, or like squarey things going, like pushing, like almost as a battle of squares, pushing each other into trying to come forth. And of course then I see a flickery between, I see the title because it's Man with a Dog, so that already creates an image. So I do see the contour of a kind of man dogging, or a kind of dog manning. That's an inside joke.
But here he says, because there is something interesting on that says, like, I mean, if we have to illustrate Man with Dog, says we would say a sidewalk, some
some-
pools, and the people who emerge from the pools on the ways to their daily round. So it seems that also like the image is not, you know what I mean, that it has something generic in a way. It's like a peopling in a way. So in a way you have the dog, you have all the you have all the scenario. I mean, you have all the functions operating so that the people in, like the image will be the man supposedly, but the man needs to appear somehow on.
But then the image can also be the sidewalk, and then the image can also be the pool. I mean, because if you ask me what I see in that image,
No. I was talking about the relation you made between like something that pops and the raised image.
Yeah, and I will say there, for example, what pops mostly is an activity, and then also it's a very furious. No, not furious. Fury. No, fury. like. And so what pops, and it pops a lot for me when I see paintings of Bacon, which is almost, sometimes it's like fear, or sometimes it's like a scream, but this one is like a bite. So it's like something from, and it also comes from what you would call the middle of the painting, so it kind of surfaces out very rapidly, and it's almost as if something comes out from the painting. And imagine a hand coming out from a painting and grabbing you and then pulling you inside for like 0.04 seconds, which would be the gap, the 40 minutes gap. and it becomes 40 minutes, but it's just 0.04 seconds, and then you're out. But then you're out, and you have the mark of a bite.
But
That's how it
but some-
jumps.
but somehow that I do a compliment with this. I'm just thinking loud with this idea that the people, we have all the conditions, and then we have the people who emerge from the pools. There is a pool, there is like the sidewalk, there is a dog, and then the people that emerges. So even in the example with the bite, what this is the bite. So you have the biting somehow, but the biting is maybe an effect that brings the
Effect.
body in a way. You know what I mean? That is not like, in a way, it doesn't call your body, of course. Like, it doesn't call my body, but it's almost like it's like David.
Full isolation.
It's like David Lynch, that actually when you see first the movies, they are really about horror and suspense, and then you start to see them, and it's really about. For instance, I started to see these movies, and I started to see women all around. Like all the movies finish with groups of women. Like you start to see, woman, and you start to see homeless. Then you start to see all like a lot of minorities, like populating the scenes of the two lovers, like singing with the lip syncing. It's not only about emotion, but it's also like bringing like people, like in their affective diagrammings or entities in a way. So that's what that requires on their daily round.
Thickness is spread out over a non-figurative zone. This is like when you're making, like when you're putting the cakes frost.
Yeah.
It's that feeling, no? It's like.
Yeah.
And there's also this thing that it's like there's a coladera, no?
What is coladera?
Like a drainage.
Drainage. Yeah. See, yeah, that's how I see a membrane. That's for me like a.
So there's a seepage, even if it's nothing, but it creates a seepage. But also a swallowing, no? Like a.
There's, because at least in the Portuguese version, there is a quote from Bacon regarding this part.
What does it say?
Let me see in the English.
You can say it in Portuguese, and I will try to translate it.
Really?
Yeah, with our Spanish understanding of Portuguese, which will be horrible.
No, I lost it. What is it? Okay. No, I'm gonna read in English.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's better. Where is it? Notes. In thinking about them as sculptures, it suddenly came to me how I could make them in paint, and do them much better in paint. It would be a kind of structure painting in which images, as it were, would arise from a river of flesh. It sounds a terribly romantic idea, but I see it very formally. And Dave Sylvester asked him, and what would that form be? Bacon. They would certainly be raised on structures. And Sylvester asks, several figures? Bacon. Yes. And there would be probably and there would probably be a pavement raised high out of its naturalistic setting, out of which they could move as though out of pools of flesh rose the images, if possible, of specific people walking their daily round. I hope to be able to do figures arising out of their own flesh, with their bowler hats and their umbrellas, and make them figures as poignant as crucifixion. Bacon adds, I've thought about sculptures on a kind of armature, a very large armature made so that the sculpture could slide along it, and people could even alter the position of the sculpture as they wanted.
So I think there's like this kind of sense of like a minimal structure,
Yeah.
and then this minimal structure holds the uncontainable, and that uncontainable, the figure of that uncontainable is this thing that rises up from flesh, which for me it's very close to the figure of a hand that goes inside your body and pulls something to activate. It's that kind of minimal consistency, and what it pulls is the uncontainable. That's why it's like a scream, or like a horror, or like a yeah, like the populated isolation, when isolation,
The screen will return here very strongly later.
the scream
Yeah.
and the fall.
In the third, he talks a lot about that stretching of the body in a way.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah,
Somehow,
because the body's always
So
stretched.
it's weird because he really talks about an interiority, but he talks about that how in a moment then the figure really becomes this. I don't remember what it was, if it's the figure or the contour. But what he's saying is like it's not anymore that the material structure is around the figure somehow, to create this pop. This correlation, but it's more that the figure is stretching itself away from the body in a way. It's kind of like in the scream, actually the body wants to be stretched out somehow. Just I throw that for a motivation for our next radioLip.
I mean, I'm trying to grasp this. There's like some words that are coming in a kind of cascade. There are like fury, and then it's like
Fury.
fury.
Fury. Yeah, fury. Not
It
theory.
can also be like
Theory.
peludo. ¿Cómo es peludo? Fury.
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 But the
thought you
screen
said
I like a lot because there's
Screen.
another painting that Deleuze talks a lot.
Oh yeah.
If I remember correctly.
Munch.
That is the
I think
Munch.
that's chapter 8.
from the
You're
the,
jumping.
the
Yeah.
Pope.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
Popes.
We
yeah.
will get there.
We will get there.
The scream. Oh, the horror.
The horror.
But then, what are these sensations without the narrative? Like, what are just
I
there?
think that's what Deleuze is trying to.
The being of intensity, without the narrative of it being like, oh, it's horrible, but
Yeah.
just like,
I think that's what he started to call sensation,
Yeah, that's it.
which is kind of like feeling. It's like the feelings in Whitehead. I felt like it's not sensation like, like an emotion or but it's like really like this really felt.
the being of
But
intensity.
really, this felt entity out. In the midst in a way. So it's not this like you feel it inside of you. It's kind of
Yeah.
like really this plane of relation, which is very like extreme sensitivity in a way.
Extreme sensitivity. What is the word that Erin has been using a lot for the child? Like, it's not. Like, it's not ferocity. It's not rage.
Fierceness?
Fierceness. Thank
Fierceness.
you. Fierceness, which is kind of it slips my fingers, but I like that it composes ferocity. It's not
Fierceness and fury.
rage.
Fierceness makes me think of
Rage and what?
Fury.
Well, fury is there.
Fury is a mix of fear and fury. Fury.
Furia.
ferocious, fierce, and
Yeah.
furious.
Oh, furious. Furious.
Ferocious.
I like more fury.
Furious.
Mm.
Furiosity.
Curiosity, because it's like
Mad Max and
futurity and
Furiosity.
fury.
like you know like, but for me it's more like the sensation of the sea, for example, how it carries this fury.
Oh.
Like not the sensation of like someone who just got mad,
No.
but just the force. Oh,
So much F's.
Huh?
So much F's.
So many F's. What the
Ferocity,
fuck? F. So many F's.
Radio fuck lip.
Fuck lip? No, I don't think so.
No,
Lip
can't-
radio.
No, that can't be
Lip
public.
radio.
Lip
Lip
radio.
radio.
Only for you, broadcasting
Only for your
from
broadcast and
sponges.
Radio.
conscious. Your experimental process philosophy radio. I think we could become rich, you know, like
The only, you're like damn.
So fast.
The only, the one, the greatest.
and then we
The
can
one
buy a
and
lot of
only.
video games and clothes and books.
Oh yeah, but it's because radioLip also has a line of clothings, and so yeah,
Yeah,
that's
No pets.
and hats.
and hats.
It's very, very like hats to navigate the world. Like this is
Yeah.
not just hats.
And
Like
shoes
this
to
is.
walk it?
I mean, you know, like
Radio-
filtering
Yeah,
the
look at
world,
Futuring.
featuring and filtering.
Futuring and futuring.
Yeah.
Furiousing.
Furiousing,
Furiousing
furiousing,
the world.
giving back the fury.
Ah.
Oh, look at these.
I think you should have been in the camera for a short while, showing the hat.
I need one eye though.
Okay.
Yeah, it works. Ah, so nice to rest the other one, which anyway doesn't even see properly.
Much, no? I think also have the same, but I don't want to go
Like
to
this
the
one actually is.
option.
Okay,
But shall we
so-
finish reading
Yeah,
to be very
let's
proper?
finish. Yeah,
Okay.
because we're.
Okay. We will see later what the various elements of this system have to do with Egyptian art, Byzantine art, and so forth. But what concerns us here is this absolute proximity, this scope precision of the field that functions as a ground, and the figure that functions as a form, on a single plane that is viewed at close range.
It
It is this system, this coexistence of two immediately adjacent sectors, which encloses space, which constitutes an absolutely closed and revolving space, much more so than if one had proceeded with the summer,
the
the dark, or the indistinct. This is why there is indeed a certain blurriness in Bacon. There are even two kinds of blurriness,
but
but they both belong to this highly precise system. In the first case,
the blur is obtained
obtained
not by indistinctness, but on the contrary, by
by
the
the
operation that, quote, consists in destroying clarity
by
by
clarity.
clarity.
Oh,
Ah,
oh,
morale, morale,
radioLip.
morale.
What is this? This is too much.
Clarity by clarity.
I don't get that.
Wait. Oh no. Let's go like that. Yeah. Oh, much better.
Yeah, much better.
Not bad.
Too
Está
much.
buenísimo.
Consists in destroying clarity
By clarity.
by clarity. Oh, that's
Ah.
like an arrow.
Yeah.
Right. Right in the eye. Take. Okay.
Clarity by clarity. As in the man with the pig's head in the self-portrait of 1973.
Now I need to see that one. Do you have it?
Um,
No.
no.
Oh, I find it.
Okay, so we are looking.
I think the blurriness is like the stretching you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, what I take from there is like he says like it's not about making things indistinct. You know what I mean? So it's not about like just making a mess, but it's a very such a precise operations you need to do to break representation in a way. Like
73? Ooh.
Yeah, the stretching also sometimes feels, you know, when you're trying to stretch a paper that has been rolled for a long time, and so then you stretch it, but it kind of has this way of like pulling back into its roll. So it also carries this kind of duration of activity, like it needs to be activated. That's how is that one called?
Self-portrait.
But something pig.
Yeah, but there's a man with a pig's head apparently.
Oh, the man with the pig's head.
There's also
Let's see. Do you have it?
no, pero escucha. Habla.
The man with the pigs.
I think it's this one here.
Oh,
do you think there's a lot of
There's
self-portraits? It's called
seven-
study for self-portrait.
this one is 1973.
Yeah, the one I had was also 73. Maybe there's a lot.
Okay, let's look at
This was
those.
also 73.
Let's see. Oh, this is beautiful. Okay, so let's see.
A ver.
This is one of them.
The blur is obtained not by indistinctness, but on the contrary, by the operation that consists in destroying clarity by clarity, as in the man with the pig's head in the self-portrait of 1973, or the treatment of crumpled newspapers, as Leirier says, their typographic characters are clearly drawn, and it is their very mechanical precision that stands opposed to their legibility. In the other case, the blur is obtained by the techniques of remarks or scrubbing, both of which are also among the precise elements of the system. We will see that there is yet a third case.
Bravo! We did it.
Radio
So yeah, I think we have to go to pools to
Yeah.
make research, and
Yeah.
then to walk like people on their daily livings.
And I walk my dog every day, so I'm like, I
You're
think I'm
right,
part
you
of
are-
the picture.
you are
I'm
really-
this painting, like,
Yeah, you are
I'm
advanced.
a living embodiment of this painting.
You are advanced in the research.
I mean, anyway, even if we finish the reading, doesn't mean that the music needs to stop, no?
Oh, never.
Why would that mean that?
It's like, or that we keep broadcasting music.
We can keep broadcasting it.
Creatures, their natural habitat.
The new reality TV show.
No, but it's it really does something totally different to have the music playing, like, or no, and the broadcasting.
Yeah. So correlation, connection. The ring. I really like the ring. Like it's like a lasso,
Mm.
like in the Old West movies.
Oh yeah, look, Mayra, there is one painting
So it
that,
traps and then whoop pulls back,
that he's
and then
gonna-
that is like
Ah,
Ferocity.
ferocity.
Curiosity. This is so Mayra.
Curiosity.
Mira, this painting is Mayra Morales. Like when he's talking about athleticism in chapter 3. Look,
I tell you, it's just
it's
not
super
fast.
Morales. And Mira suggested images like
The athlete. Yep.
Let me see the Morales.
it's totally
According to Didi.
Morales. Well, because you haven't come to the Morales movement workshops.
There's
Oh well,
I mean-
yeah, that's.
I haven't done it. There's something in that leg.
She was doing the handle. She was worse than yoga. You know, we were like there doing the thing forever. You know.
I was like, come on, people, stay there.
It's Wednesday at 10.
Wednesday at 10
Yeah, this is a plug for the radio.
in the Echo House. At the Echo House.
Yeah.
Bring a thingy.
Yeah, we should do advertisement of.
Oh, we should do advertisement of what's going on.
Yeah. What is going on?
Terror.
Terror.
We need a way to sponsor it, no?
We need sponsors. Yeah.
Oh,
for the
so we need
crickets.
sponsors for
Yeah.
like the new economy of the world because like
We are
come on,
doing
like Thea would say, like everybody knows. Come on, everyone knows.
Yes. But that we know.
Everyone knows this is not working.
Crickets.
And what happens if we sell crickets?
Crickets.
Can we sell crickets?
Yeah,
Dream,
so
though.
we are starting a farm ranch.
Yeah.
It's more a ranch, but it needs a lot of farming. And so we
The front.
Yeah.
have crickets and very soon we will be distributing crickets as the food of the future, super nutritious, super delicious,
Super proteinated.
and everything that ends up with issues. Shoes. CIOUS. CIOUS.
Or
Delicious.
Yeah. Oh, with
Capricious.
Capricious, delicious.
Delicious.
lascivious.
Lascivious also. Oh,
That was a
lascivious.
code word.
Lascivious. Yeah, because they are very lascivious crickets.
Yeah.
Because they reproduce quite quickly.
And they cheap.
Poetry.
Really? Oh, my
And
God.
apparently the chirping is when they're mating.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
Oh, wow.
which kind of changes the effect of listening to the chirping.
Tiny
Yeah,
bit.
so you-
Yep.
like, creak, creak, creak.
Uh-huh.
But can you hear them from the
And
first
so-
floor? Like if you are
Yeah,
like,
but these are crickets. We are reading them poetry and philosophy.
Yes.
So like
they're smart.
They have a sophisticated
this is a
sexuality.
special product.
So that's why they're very expensive.
Yeah.
They will be very
They're
expensive.
sapiosexual. Very
They also will. I mean, they produce cricket poop, and it's a good fertilizer for growing plants
Mm.
and for greenhouses.
Mm.
And so this is another project of the Three Ecologies Institute that it will. Well, we are already building greenhouses for fresh things to eat. And then, what other projects are there? Oh yeah, and then the crickets. So we will sell the fertilizer, and then we will have a sustainable economy made out of cricket poop,
Mm.
which at the same time are delicious and nutritious. And then what else? Oh yeah, and then one more thing. Then you also can produce cricket farine,
Flour.
Right, yeah,
flour.
Delicious burgers.
So yeah, and it's like coming up. We still have a long way to go because we are in the learning curve, but we need sponsors to make these
Mm.
not to make this a reality because it is already a reality,
Mm-hmm.
but to
Continue the reality.
just to continue and expand.
More crickets.
More
is what
crickets.
MM wants. More
More
crickets.
crickets to come.
More crickets, more bins.
More crickets to learn
Mm.
because they do activate learning processes.
Ooh, more crickets to sing.
Yeah, more crickets, more songs. A lot of songs by Sponge with cricket sounds.
But we should definitely try to record cricket and then to make them also sometimes part of the.
We can also
Broadcasting.
learn
We
cricket
should.
language.
Maybe I have some crickets.
Especially when they like.
When they reproduce.
I think Adam already speaks cricket language.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It's almost it's similar. No, it's not like that.
It is like that. This is like a pigeon and a cricket. Like if you had a baby. Yeah. Like a dove and a cricket.
What else we need sponsors for? Three
That's the
colleges
Lascivious
institute, which
language
is like
of
alter
University, but not a university.
para
Free, unaccredited.
unaccredited
University.
university
Non-university.
with an alter economy, para institutional,
Mm-hmm.
like a parachute,
Like a parachute.
like a parallelepipedal.
Like a
Parallelepipedal. Monday files. We have Monday files because, I mean,
Because we choose to live.
because we choose to
Choose
live,
life.
we
Monday
choose
files.
life. So Monday files. Let me tell you. You
Okay.
know how there's expressivity in the world,
Uh-huh.
and basically we could say in a short way
Cricket ball.
that life is the
Short.
the expressivity, the surplus expressivity of the world wanting.
Mm-hmm.
And so the surplus expressivity of the world wanting is life. That is life. Just live. Because it allows us to feel alive. So that's Monday Files. So Monday Files is a way of figuring out how to share thinking processes in the making,
Mm-hmm.
and then with some studying around questions that people bring that their processes are doing.
This is Monday files or something.
I think we can squeeze some Monday filing here because now it's Monday.
Okay.
But also
Every day is Monday.
because we were so bad at sticking to our purposes.
When?
So we decided to cheat, and then we said, "Oh, every day is Monday," because that way. But it doesn't work so much
No, that's true because now no day is Monday, kind
because
of.
now no day is Monday.
So I think Monday has to be a day, but it doesn't have to be Monday. But maybe it has to be a day or an hour.
there has to
or
be a
minute.
date and time.
All Yeah.
day, a day.
All day a day.
All day a day.
All day a day.
All day.
So, so it's just basically a way of finding pocket time days of all day a day,
Mm-hmm.
where there's some resonance around thinking processes that are producing something that still doesn't know itself. It has to do a lot with writing, TBH, to be honest.
I know what TBH is for. Come on.
No, but I didn't. I had to translate it for myself.
It is because we assume we know what writing is, but we don't really know what writing is, and I want to know more about what we don't know about what writing is.
Yeah, it's just a kind of activation of the field. That it's like a push, like a small push, you know, like
But is it in a
like when
Slack?
you're
Is it a
jumping
Slack
in the
channel or
pool,
what?
but you need this
Dropbox.
small
It's
push.
in the
It's
Dropbox.
on the glitch and it's on the Dropbox.
There's a
Is it glitch?
there's a Dropbox. There's a glitch page. There's a link.
Glitch play. What is that?
So glitch is it's part of the 3E process seed bank association,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that it's there. It's out in the world. It's just you need to have the link.
The link is in chicken processes Slack channel. We can invite.
But anyway, it can be through there, but it can also be through other things. The thing is that in this field of resonance, some people get together, they share what they're doing or a question.
It's more like to share a little bit what we are.
A little bit
what
what
we
you're
talk in the
writing or
diagramming,
what
yeah,
you
yeah.
are questioning, and you don't even have to have something. The thing is that by coming in this correlative field or zoning, it pops like the bacon pin.
Like physically.
Physically,
To be
it starts.
TBH.
So usually, always someone is like, "Oh yeah, it's like that thing I was thinking." So that means that there's a process already, and so you bring that, and then we talk about it in a way or around it, and then one day we practice like then going to our corners and practicing parallel writing or parallel doing
Mm-hmm.
for like half an hour, I think, which were more like 40 minutes. And then the idea was to, by the end of it, to send it somewhere in the stratosphere of the universe of existences.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we uploaded it to a Dropbox folder.
Okay.
And then the Dropbox folder, the idea is that all these files, that's why it's called Monday Fies. The idea is that all the files that are there, which can be text, but also can be drawing or can be whatever a file can be. The idea is that these files are there for grabs, and then they can be pulled into sand boxes. And so a sandbox is like another portal in the glitch space where people can learn coding by trying things, like moving a file, for example, like putting one of the files in there, like in the middle of the page, or just like a line of one of the texts. And so just starting to create a collective ecology of traits found within these files. Or you can just upload all the files in there and move them. But then someone else may come and rearrange that you put in there. So it also becomes this game of creating something else at the same time than creating your own text. So it can also be collective, but the file still remains the file that you uploaded.
Terminus coding.
Yeah, terminus coding. I think that's Monday Files. I mean, but it's also like, as everything, it has its time, and we're trying to see how to reactivate it. So perhaps let's try to think that this week. Didi!
You like?
The Didi loves. And are we continuing with like schizosomatic practices at Fleur d'Asphalt? Are we?
What do you mean? You are doing it, no?
Or did that just flip into Wednesdays?
The schizosomatics.
It
You mean
flipped
the
itself.
ones that
no?
we started? Yeah, more or less. I don't
It
know.
flipped. It became that. Oh, okay. So Wednesday at 10 at the Echo House. No, it's just a movement practice.
Yeah.
There's nothing more to say around it.
Yeah.
It's just that it's at 10 and it's at Echo House. Perhaps comfortable food, comfortable clothes to move, but also there's collars around in case you just want to move differently.
At one point, I think if the schizosomatics come back, it's like it will be like a mix of what you're doing, Mayra, together with the, what we were doing before, which was like to bring a text, like to bring like a paragraph or 3 paragraphs, and to work
Like the concert.
like the concert,
Yeah.
like the frog concert.
I think the frog concert is still there.
That's a schismatics too.
That's more where the schizomatic kind of landed.
Yeah.
So now it has a pond,
So it's like today,
And
it's like
lilies.
this. It's like learning process philosophy through radio in,
Yep.
and the other one is like learning process philosophy through body in.
Bodying,
Skissing
concerting,
skissing the concerting of the body.
and a lot of frog concerts.
And
What
so
is
from-
the lip?
The lip is what we call
the
the
patch.
patch that was in there, which was like a purple.
But it was a partial enunciator, so it was like.
So we
as a
were
lips,
trying
like
to
an
give it a
80 lips,
name
like-
because
Yeah.
the other day we ate like a cake that was green and it had these colors inside. So it was like a ball. And we named it. And yesterday Lily told me the name because we forgot.
Yeah.
And now I forgot again. But it's something like, I mean, we should ask this for next radio station. But it was something like blast ball of radioactive colorality or something like that. So, and then yesterday we ate another one that we named Romance Cruise with Sparkly Sunrises. So, following that game, we thought of it a name or a partial enunciator to the patch that was over there. There was one which is pink with blue, no?
You can do it?
Like a circle one,
Ah, yeah.
which is
That's just
amazing. Perhaps we need a photo of that one because that's actually what.
That's the lip?
No, the lip is the relation. So the lip is the relation between that fury one, the fluffy one, and then that circular one,
Okay.
and then there was something orange.
So they're in a delay, no?
Is this no?
Yeah, that's the orange. So that's the patch, and we tried to give it a name, and that's when we said lip.
But it goes this?
And so that's like radioLip. No way.
It's today.
No.
Like just like
That's what
2
we are
minutes
broadcasting
ago.
now.
This is very crazy.
It's live.
We were right all the time. I thought.
You didn't know?
Ikadu was like, whoa.
In video.
Oh, the video was
But the
there.
video was
There's
just
video,
showing-
there's colors,
That's why
there's
my laptop's
textures,
freaking out.
there's voice. I mean, perhaps it's good
Like
you
2
didn't
minutes
know
ago.
that we were like. You would have overacted. Like we did.
So when is the next? I mean, we keep the next radio open, but let's say like in 2 weekish, no? Because weekly is gonna become like a duty, I think.
Yeah.
Because there is so much going on with the class on Thursday.
I mean, perhaps we can leave next Monday open for
It can
Monday
be Monday any
files.
day.
It
can
can
be
be Monday any
Monday
day.
is a day.
But I'm also gonna get. I'm start to become busy with this performance. For the next Monday I can't, and the next one also I can't.
So not next Monday.
So anyway, but you can.
I mean, but we can do it without you.
Exactly. You can do it without me. I mean, I can Skype in. I can like, yeah. Of course you can.
And then you
No,
will
no.
be
But my only
jealous.
proposition is it doesn't become a weekly thing because I think there's so many weekly things.
Yeah,
But
I
then I have
always
to
get
stop-
very
I
disappointed
have to
when the next week is like, oh, again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whereas if it's
If
every
it's
2
like-
weeks, then you're
if
like,
it is
what?
like let's do
Why
it.
is it not today? And then it's like you have to wait
But
for
Monday is a day.
it. Monday is a day.
Yeah.
Let's leave it open for next Monday from here to 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And let's also say perhaps the Monday that it's not this, we can try an attempt for Monday files.
Okay. And we keep reading Logic of Sensation. Maybe
Maybe.
2 more chapters.
But you know what's the danger? It's not the weekly thing or the bi-weekly.
Mhm.
The danger of things is
The
that
reading.
if they become
The thing.
something, they're dead.
Yeah.
So like,
we never have to feel like, oh, I'm going there today because what we do today.
But that's with the Sunday, no?
Oh.
Or not? Oh.
Morales, you wanted to say something?
Are we still
No, I'm
live?
not.
But it's tricky because also today when I was coming and I felt a little bit like with a little bit of coronavirus, I also felt like, oh, you know. But then I do the thing, and then
You still push through it.
yeah, you have like
Yeah,
how
I
do
mean,
you
there's
tell?
so
Because
much-
if it's for that, I stay home. I never go
No,
out.
of course, it always dies and resuscitates. But there's ways of dying that are more difficult to resuscitate. So I think it's also important that it remains with its edges in a like we don't know. I don't know.
I know, but
Maybe
what I want to
works,
say is
maybe
like if we only feel our feelings, sometimes it's like it never gonna happen. You know what I mean? Like if I feel my feeling of okay, let's do the morning, I'm always like better not. Also needs to be this extra like okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I
Sometimes
agree.
like
I agree.
okay, but let's do it. And then it's happy.
Yeah,
and then
it
it's
dies
happening.
both ways. It
Yeah,
dies
it
in
does.
the
It
way
does
of,
when
like,
when everyone when it becomes like a
it
pool
has
of.
become a thing. It's dead. But it also dies if it's just
Just like whenever we feel like
Just wanted to say that because like sí, a veces está como muy atrapada la cosa, es como
so ayer murió.
sí está completamente.
Daniel, almost. It's almost 2.
Somos tú,
Sí,
¿no?
ya,
yo
2
tengo que ir a
horas.
dormir un poco.
Se se fini.
Estás al finito. Okay.
Do we do like a last song and we dance?
Okay, last song. Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
We need a theme song, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A tune?
San Salvador.
Oh, yes.
No?
I think
I love that song. Yes.
I'm Elisa love you.
What is that song?
Oh, I
What
like.
else?
Yeah. This is our outro.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Come on.
We have a radio. Woo.
We said we were going to do some jumpings. Wait, let me take the colors away. They don't want to jump.
I think I got your coronavirus.
Yes? Oh no. But so quickly. No.
Yeah, Andre looks like he got it. I didn't get it. Because I didn't put my
I also
hands
got
in
it
my
like
face.
3 weeks ago, and then it didn't. I didn't get it.
I don't think it will work.
Right. I went to. I
I had it
resuscitated.
5 weeks ago for a day.
Yeah. That's why. Like maybe tomorrow it's not.
Taya had it today.
Today? Did you
Yeah,
go
because
to
it was
school?
it was the first day of school after holiday.
You got the
You
credit.
got sick.
He had to use that one, you know.
What is Sophie now?
Whoop! We will need like light color lights.
Turn the radio to Didi's ass is live.
I know this. Who is the song?
Jesse.
Who is Jesse Ware now?
Jesse Lanza.
Jesse Lanza, yeah. The last one, no?
See, partying in the day is so much better.
and it means I love you. And you look into my eyes, boy, it means I love you. I love you. I love you.
Woo! Woo!
That's it. Bye.
The day must go on.
Antes de que se muera. Before it dies.
Before the
No,
day
before it
dies.
becomes something.
Before it becomes a thing. Run for
Before it
life.
becomes something.
Oh, yeah.
Who's singing today?
Once again.